Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Rustomod Garage. We are really wrapping this Rambler project up. We're making some big progress. So, in the past episodes, you've seen us design this entire car in CAD. We developed this entire chassis out of a C4 Corvette and implanting an LS and T65 transmission under our Rambler station wagon. You've seen us create this entire frame in real life, weld it all together, infuse our C4 Corvette suspension into our frame, cut the entire floor out of a Lincoln Aviator, and then roll this entire hodgepodge of a frame underneath of our Rambler station wagon that we cut the entire firewall floor wheel tubs out, and now we are finally putting this entire thing together in this episode. So in the last episode you saw us make our entire wheels from scratch out of aluminum. If you guys missed that episode, definitely go check it out. It was a really good one, probably one of my favorite episodes that we've done so far. And then we are putting the body on top of our frame that we made and putting this entire thing together. So we were able to make our entire roll cage locally, got it bent up, put it onto our frame, and then able to put the body on top so we could fit everything perfectly. So now we are just working on filling the gaps. So we have our frame to our body, so we have to connect the two together and make this thing an entire full unibody chassis. Real quick, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe so we can continue to do awesome builds like this. We have a bunch of builds lined up in the future. We're building a all-wheel drive C10, a TDI powered Jeep, and a Hummer chassis swapped Dodge Power Wagon. And we actually might have something lined up for our 59 four-wheel drive F250. So you guys will have to check in to see that and a bunch more builds we have planned. So like, comment, subscribe, and support the channel. And now we'll get back to the video. So now we're going to begin by trying to put all the pieces that we cut out of the Rambler floor back into the Rambler. So we're going to put the wheel wells back in. We actually kind of tubbed this wheel well, so we added some width to it to act kind of like a mini tub, because we're going to run a wider wheel in the back. So we're going to bump these wheel wells inward so that way we can fit it, and also it attaches to our frame right where our wheel would go. So there's also a crossover piece in the back under the rear axle, so that way we're going to weld that into place and then just kind of attach everything to the Rambler body to the frame, so that way it's all cohesive and it all fits together. So now we just begin the process of welding this entire thing together. It just was a lot of kind of spot welding spaces, so that way it will fit to where we need it to. We're kind of just roughly going throughout the whole thing, modifying what we need to, and then just welding it into place. So this was hours and hours of welding, going back and forth, cutting, figuring out where everything needs to sit. As you can see on the top of where the axle would go, we actually had to notch the cover over it so that way it could fit our independent rear suspension some. But we wanted to leave as much as we could in the back because we wanted to still have the capabilities of a station wagon, having as much room in the back as possible so we could fit our luggage and cargo and stuff like that. So we didn't want to hinder on the station wagon capabilities, but we also wanted to obviously do what we're doing, do an entire frame swap. So we're just getting this whole thing together and then moving on to the next steps. We also have to go through, weld the entire perimeter of the frame, and then weld all the firewall to the cowl and that whole process. So now that everything is welded together, it is finally time to fit our LS into our Rambler station wagon. So this is a long way to do an LS swap, but this is how we're doing it. So we're finally going to be able to see how this thing fits into our body, into our C4 Corvette suspension, and see how everything will go together, looking at it for the first time in real life. Staring at CAD for so long is really cool, but it will be really cool to see this thing come together in real life. You can also see we have our brake booster mocked up just to see the clearance, because one of the issues we were having is our master cylinder was going to hit our wheel, so we weren't able to use a traditional vacuum brake booster. We actually went to a Hydra boost out of a Mustang for the setup. It was the only way that we could fit it. So once there's weight on the front of the car, the wheel comes very close to our master cylinder. So we had to put that in, just trying to mock it up to see where everything was going to fit. Especially with our roll cage being so close to the engine, we want to make sure everything was perfect, and it ended up going in perfectly as we had planned in the design of the car. So finally, after all this time and all this work, finally our Rambler station wagon has an engine in it and a transmission, and it is one car. It is not two pieces anymore. We have put the body onto our frame and installed our LS. So we still have a lot of ways to go, but the motor is installed and our C4 Corvette suspension is infused with our Rambler station wagon. So as you can see, some of our firewall still needs to be finished up, and there's no doors on it, and we still have a lot more body welding to go, but it is a really big step for us. So now, as we're welding the rest of the body onto the car, we really wanted to finish up the exhaust, because the exhaust has to run from obviously from the front of the engine all the way back. So we want to make sure that we have enough room to fit our 3-inch exhaust that we're going to be running all the way to the back of the car. So we ended up scanning our headers into our CAD file, and then we could map out kind of where we wanted the exhaust to lay whenever we designed it. So now we just got to make sure these headers will fit in real life. There's a lot really tight clearances between our oil pan and the floor. As you can see, we also put the Lincoln Aviator sound deadening from the floor up underneath, so that way it looks factory, like a factory sound deadener, but actually acts as a nice heat protective sound deadener. Now we're just cutting up the exhaust we have. Like I said, it's 3-inch, so it's pretty big, so we're gonna have to be able to fit this up into our frame and then fit it over our cross member that holds our transmission, so that way everything is tight up and up high, because this car is going to be very low to the ground. As you can see, we're just trying to mock it up. We initially just wanted to get the thing running and put straight pipes in it without our mufflers because they were on back order, but we ended up changing those out later on. So for right now, we're just having this really loud exhaust, which we changed very quickly. So another tight aspect to the exhaust was our fuel cell is going to be right there in the back under the cargo area in the Rambler. So it's very close to the ground, but also it's very close to our 3-inch exhaust. So we wanted to come out behind the rear tire on the Rambler. It was kind of the only area to do it, and I think it also looks the best. So curving the exhaust around our fuel cell was going to be a challenge with our independent rear suspension, because the whole rear of the car suspension wise will move up and down. So it's kind of a challenge going back and forth to figure out where everything needs to sit and to make sure that it's even on both sides and not interfere or have any hazardous heat by our fuel tank. So we measured and make sure everything was good, and then we ended up tacking it in place.
Up a little bit. Cut it off. Yes. Cut it off.
This process was a lot of back and forth, but we finally got it to sit perfectly. So we cut it off where it needed to go, tacked it into place, and then it was good to go. We finally got our exhaust done. So we have our engine in, our exhaust complete, our fuel tank installed, our body is welded to our frame. So we are really moving along on this Rambler project. It won't be long until this thing's driving down the road.
Oh, cool.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to check out our shop nights on July 29th. It's 1 week from today. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys at our shop on July 29th with your guys' rides. So see you then, and we'll see you also on the next episode.
Yay!